Thank you everybody for coming to this TAS watch party, and by watch party I mean I'm going to be explaining all the stuff. So this is the 102 Dalmatians All Levels TAS. It corresponds to the All Levels Out of Bounds category on our RTA leaderboard on speedrun.com. And so this is something that Avouca and I worked on for like the beginning of this year, and it has some really awesome things, and I'm going to be going through it and explaining all of that. And I'm also going to, since I usually do like RTA runs, like I usually do live speedruns, I'll explain some of the differences like in how tassing works, like the process behind it, and just, you know, generally obviously what's going on with it. But if you're here and you don't know what a TAS is a tool-assisted speedrun. It's where you use your computer to do all the inputs for a game, and so you can do like really crazy things that you wouldn't be able to do in a live run done by a human, because you can do things that are, you know, super precise, super specific, frame perfect things, setups that just you wouldn't be able to hit as a human. So I don't know, get ready, strap in. This one's a really fun one. And actually, so the way that there's a submission site for TAS videos. It's called TAS Videos. And they have like a whole judging process that TASs have to go through to be published there. It's not like a leaderboard like speedrun.com is. It's like a record site. So you have to, you know, your TAS has to be the best one to be published there. It has to be the best for the game. It also has to like show that it's, you know, really trying to beat the game fast, that there's not like obvious errors and stuff like that. So this one just went through the judging process. Actually, like it's been in the process for several weeks, and it just got finished with that today, and it's being published to the stars category, which is like the top TASs for the whole site. There's only like a little over 100 of them on the site, which is super awesome. So that shows that not only do I think this is really great, I'm obviously biased because this is 102 Dalmatians and I love 102 Dalmatians, but other people also think that this one is really entertaining and a good time to watch. So I hope you guys have fun with this. Thank you for redeeming Silo Dog. Unfortunately, we will not be getting Silo Dog today because this is a TAS and there is no Silo Dog in the TAS, but I will keep that in mind for the next time that I'm running the game. I guess I might get to do some runs today. Depends on how long this takes. I have no idea how long this is going to take. So, without further ado, I will start the video. I do have to turn off Ancient Castle unless you guys want to hear that in the background the whole time. Do you? Maybe you do. I don't know. There we go. So just to start off, you're going to see that this video... Ooh, that might be quiet. But it also might just be this part of the video. It starts with the power on of the console. So this goes all the way through all of those wonderful nostalgic sounds of powering on a PlayStation. And that's just the way that TASs works. That's TASs work. That's one of like the first differences that you're gonna see in just like the culture surrounding it is like power on of the console is when you start the time. And so we have to go through the load screens. But I mean, even right away you're gonna see that this is like way faster than anything you've ever seen me do. So if you have watched me do some of those out of bounds runs, this will look very familiar, except the dog gets into the gate much, much faster than I ever do. And so that's a kind of trick called a ledge clip, and you can do them in a few different places. I've never really fully talked about this, but the way that ledge clips work, you're clipping the puppy into the side of the ledge, and it just so happens that right here there's a loading zone underneath. So that's what's happening here. You're clipping into a gate that's supposed to be closed, and you hit it, and then you get into the loading zone. And so that was a technique that was first discovered by Triple, actually. And then we found out that you can use them like all over the place. I'm probably going to be doing this thing where I'll like let the level play a bit and then I'll go back and explain some of the things, because I don't think I'll be able to explain it all live. But this is Toy Store. We don't actually usually do out of bounds here. I mean, there's one that people do sometimes. I haven't done it before though, so this is going to be new if you've only watched me play this game. And so this is an even faster version of the clip that you see like Custom and some others do in Toy Store. So let's look at that one more time. So first there was that boost up the railing. And then there's actually a small boost here. It looks like the puppy bonks, but actually that makes it faster because you get speed off that. And then there's the fun trampoline boost that you've probably seen me do before. But what's really cool about this bomb car clip at the bottom is just how fast it becomes, because what we do is we clip into the bottom of this ramp and get speed off of it to go straight to the end. Also, if you guys have any questions, like, just put it in chat. This isn't just me presenting things. Custom, how's it going? This is... Piccadilly has always been inbounds. You guys have probably never seen me go out of bounds in Piccadilly, but actually Custom found this way to clip out of bounds with fidget here. And it's really cool. So this is what the void of Piccadilly looks like. You've just never seen it. Yeah, I'll be doing bomb car clip. I need to practice it. The problem with it is that bomb cars in Dreamcast are different. It's dumb. Bomb car clip is dumb. And I don't know if you've heard, I don't know if you've paid attention to it, Custom, but when I do it on Dreamcast, the sound for the bomb cars is broken. So you can't actually tell when it's going to explode as easily as you can on PlayStation. So anyways, what's happening here is we're using fidget to clip out of bounds, but the way that Piccadilly is, it's kind of like this long, straight level. It curves a little bit. And so instead of going right to the end, what we're doing is going until we hit a loading zone. Because if you've seen me do like all puppies or 100%, we go in and out of these manholes to warp around. And so what happens here is we hit the manhole from the other side, and then it takes us straight to the end here, even though that one was never opened. The out of bounds is blue on Dreamcast and PC, specifically for Piccadilly. I don't know why I forgot what it's called. But here we have Heliclip, everybody's favorite Heliclip. Dewey, how's it going? It's the only one like that, though. Like, all the other ones are exactly the same. It's because the draw distance, I think they just couldn't get it to look natural. And so they made it look like fog instead of making it look like it was just, like, unrendering everything. Heliclip, great trick. Custom endorses it, so it must be awesome. Okay, let me explain what was going on here. It is possible to get out of bounds in the first room of Big Ben, but it's never been faster to do that because it's just, like, so far from place to place. Also, if you want to know more about the things I'm talking about, the task description has maps of some of these levels, so, like, I'm just, like, gesturing in space. But, you can look at a map if you want to. If you look at the task description. And so that was Heliclip. Heliclip we do in RTA runs, but this one, obviously, the TAS version is very fast. And it's faster, like I said, instead of like going through the void, it's faster to just hit the loading zone here. And then we're gonna go up kind of like normal, except talking to Yvonne, because why not? And this is where it gets kind of interesting. So there's another Heliclip here, and this one goes to the upper level. And then another clip here on, that's not the punching bag that we usually do the clip on. That's a different one. And the reason is because this puts you closer to the loading zone here to get into this room. And this wouldn't be faster RTA just because you'd have to do another Heliclip and you'd probably fail it. But in this case, It is faster. Do a second heli clip to get to the top, and then leave. And now we get to fight Cruella. And so this one's interesting. So, I'll let it play, actually. Just watch it, then I'll explain. That's what I said I was gonna do. Lalith, how's it going? Thank you. I had a lot of fun doing the GDQ run. I was so excited that we finally got this there, and it was awesome. It was definitely highlight of my year. Okay, let's watch that again. So what's happening here, this is like the same strat that you've seen me do, which is the early cycle Cruella, except now we've got analog. So the criticism on the last TAS that Avouca and Custom made was that it didn't use analog, even though the game supports it. So there's analog, it's just kind of silly. Basically, like, there's nothing that the analog would give you an advantage on except, like, timing the walking. So you're going to see it in the Cruella levels, which is kind of funny. Because you never see the dog walk slowly, but now you will. Heliclip is evil and mean and always gets me too. Maybe for different reasons. It always scared me as a kid too. So I guess it's just, it makes sense that it also causes me problems to this day. This is museum. We have to collect all of the artifacts and take them back to Fluffy. This is one of my favorite levels, actually, so, have fun, I guess. I'll explain it later. This right here is great. And I'll probably have to explain that one for a while, just how monumental that thing is. But like I was saying, if you go to the task description, it has maps and stuff. And the way that we have these maps is, Avouca wrote a script that actually, like, takes the puppy's location at different spots and turns it into a map. So it's a lot of work to make each map. But it's awesome that he was able to, because it kind of shows things. I don't think this level doesn't have a map. But, you can see it for some of the other ones. Hey, look, it's the toast bot. It was the TAS, obviously. Yeah, we are a dog playing fetch with a dog. I never thought about it like that before. It was an epic gamer move, obviously. Yeah, Custom found that one, actually. So that's how you know it's an epic gamer move. Okay, let's go back to the beginning. So this one uses a lot of voiding out. If you go into the void and fall low enough, the puppy will respawn back at the beginning. And so using that, you do double bomb car clip here, roll into the void, and then respawn back at Fluffy. But what I love so much about this is, like, the seamless transition between rolling in the void and respawning to talk to Fluffy. And then we go over here, and this is where it gets crazy. So, like, years and years ago, actually I can tell you what year. Years and years ago, Custom had this crazy thing happen. Let me figure out what year that was. 2018. Oh, 5 years ago. Yikes, that's too long ago. In 2018, Custom had this crazy thing happen that couldn't be explained, where, like, the puppy was on the bottom of the temple and just was on the top, seemingly in a second. Like from one frame to the next, the puppy went from the bottom to the top. And we could not explain why that happened. At the time, or I shouldn't even say at the time, kind of shortly after that, people found upwarps in the PC version and other places. Like the Piccadilly upwarp is kind of a big example of that, where, like, the puppy just, like, flings into the air. But that was only seen on PC. And And actually, I think a lot of these accidental upwarps haven't been seen on PlayStation, which is, you know, what the TAS is and what Custom did this crazy thing on. So one of the theories was like it was a clip into the pillar, and that's what put the puppy on top. And you know, not that it was anything related to these other upwarps. But then when I started getting upwarps on Dreamcast, I started to do more research into that because Dreamcast and PlayStation are like very similar. They have all the same tricks. And I was able to get upwarps on PlayStation. It's just that they're like, a lot of times they're smaller and harder to get, and I don't know why that is. But using that, then we could say, okay, so upwarps exist on PlayStation. Now what? Is this an upwarp? Is this something else? So when we were working on the TAS, I started to do some tests to see if I could get any kind of upwarp in this area. And you can. Like, I was able to get upwarps here, but I wasn't able to get that upwarp to get the puppy on top of the temple. And then, after lots and lots and lots of trying, Avouca was actually able to do it, and we have an upwarp here. And that is like, this is the first upwarp that is useful in a 102 Dalmatians run. Until now, they've always just been like weird things that happen sometimes. And they'll probably only ever be a TAS trick, just because of how precise they are. But watch this frame by frame. Nastani, how's it going? We are watching this TAS. It's really awesome. I was just explaining upwarp. It was a completely unexplained thing. There's good pup warp. Okay, yeah, so we submitted this to TAS videos, and they were like, you missed the opportunity to call it a pup warp. And I'm like, okay, well, we've known about upwarps for like 5 or 6 years, and nobody thought about that, so I'm gonna blame the entire community for that one. But it is super specific. You have to be on this one specific spot on this bottom pillar, and all you have to do right here is then jump and move forward, and you get to the top. And that's it. That is the secret of upwarp that we've been looking for all this time. This is from one frame to the next. The puppy's on the bottom and then is on the top. Just jump. Just jump. It's easy. Anyways, Greg, how's it going? Gavin, how's it going? Welcome, everybody, if I didn't say hi. Here we do another void out. You can do a clip off the edge of this and then just roll into the void, and then you spawn back at the beginning again. Oh, fun fact about Museum. I've been sharing this with everybody who will listen to me since I found out. And I'm gonna... Well, no, you guys can watch this, then I'll explain it. Museum has a slower walking speed than any other level. And I found this using the trainer that we made. Every other level, the walking speed's like 1,300. In Museum, it's 1,200 for, like, no apparent reason. And what's crazier is that the rolling and jumping speeds are the same. So you just want to walk as little as possible in Museum because it's really slow. Anyways, this is another thing that Custom found, actually, where you can get a boost off the pyramid. This is, if you've seen me do the soldier boost in Spooky Forest, it's the same idea. You get the puppy trapped between a slope and the floor, and when you do that, the puppy is like sliding down the slope, but can't reach the floor, so it just keeps gaining speed. And so the old TAS did this using our friend the Toast Bot, which you've probably seen or even done tricks with if you run the game. This Toast Bot over here, you can, I don't know if you can see my mouse right now. No, you can't. This friendly little Toast Bot, you can do it with this guy over here too, right there. Oh, no. Well, you saw him for a second. But if you do it with Fluffy, it's actually faster. And this is insane because, like, to get the right angle to do all of this is so precise. And then we do this fun little toast. This is something that, you can do this in RTA run. But not the specific one where you get, like, boosted into the toast. And then we leave. Jordan, thank you for the good luck. We can? Wait, we can do that RTA? Is that what you're responding to? Are you gonna do that? when you come back to the game custom. Oh, you could see the mouse. Okay. Oh, right, this one. Let's watch that again. It's so good. So you guys remember Underground, which is like a whole big level? And even when you do it in the normal out of bounds way, you like have to like at least see most of the level. At least from the out of bounds. Yeah, we skip all that. So this is something that G-Correct found. So this is normal. This is where you do the normal slope boost into the train. So you get the extra speed off the train. But then there's a specific spot that you hit on this wall and you just go straight through it. But you go through the wall and you still have all the speed from the train. So actually we might have written down just how fast you're going here. Let me see if I have that number. This is Underground. So remember, normal walking speed is about 1,300. This is 24,000. This has a speed of 24,000. So anyways, yeah, that's Underground. Who needs the rest of it? And it's over. And now we get to the best level, Carnival. Everybody's favorite. Extremely hard. Got the jump strat at the beginning. I guess this is a great time to take a break, huh? Yay, Carnival! There's no way to make out of bounds faster in this one. I have ideas, but I don't know if any of them... Like, you need to get away... If you got out of bounds, you would need to get away to get a boost. And that's what we don't have for that area. I can do that. I can do the TAS strats. The TAS doesn't get logged. The TAS doesn't soft log. Somebody asked if there was going to be an inbounds TAS, and I have to say, that would be like... It would be potentially interesting to see like how much speed you could gain inbounds with TAS, but luckily this isn't inbounds, so we don't have to deal with the log or the soft lock. Not that the TAS would soft lock. Actually, no, we should do a soft lock %. So anyways, normally if you've seen me do this before, normally like out of bounds uses this bulldozer guy over here to get out of bounds and like go all the way around the level. I think this is another one where we have a map if you want to see it. Oh no, we don't have a map for Lumber Mill. That's okay. So instead of having to go like all the way around and like over parts of the level to get to the end, clipping here. And this is another place where there's analog just because, so they can't say that we didn't use analog. Clip out of bounds with the dying toy tank. And then just roll to the end, because like this is much closer to the end than that bulldozer is. But all these clips that use dying enemies to get out of bounds are really hard because after you kill the enemy despawns. So you have very, very little time to clip, and you also have to make sure that the enemy goes to the right spot. So that's why heli clip is so hard, and that's also why these other types of clips that use dying enemies probably won't be in runs anytime soon. Probably. I say that, but like we have heli clips, so you know, don't say no. I'm not going to be the person who's like, this will never be RTA, and then it is. So yeah, so what's happening here is we have to hit Cruella with watermelons. And actually, so normally in RTA runs, we switch puppies like way earlier when we're just hanging around in Big Ben, not really doing anything. Or at another point, just before here. But switching here in the TAS means that we're equally Domino and Oddball the whole time, because this is Domino, and then we switched to Oddball here, so the TAS is played half and half by each of them, which is cool. But yeah, so we do a double hit here, and actually, this is where I get to talk a lot about. I'm the world's foremost expert on Cruella fights, whatever that gets me. So, when we were making the trainer, I discovered that Cruella, it seemed like it was random which direction she's going. Actually, I'll answer that first. Yeah, so you can double hit her. You have to make sure that she's like lined up right, and you also have to make sure not to do the last two melons like that, because as Custom said, it'll soft lock and then you're stuck. Same with the hens in Barnyard. You can also do two hens at once, but I think it's the last two for there too, or maybe it's the first two. If you do two of them at the same time there, it'll also soft lock. Yeah, yeah. Especially if you do Heliclip, like there's no point to doing it in Big Ben, so like why not? Why we should just all switch here. Yeah, you can't get the last two in almost the same frame for the hens. I think it has something to do with the cutscenes for why it soft locks Nastani. You just have to be careful that they're not at the same frame for the hens. Okay. So what's happening here with Cruella, if you watch me play it or anybody else, it seems like it's random which way she's moving. This is a bit of a manipulation to make sure that she goes the same way every time, because that is what sets up for all this that's going on. I'm gonna stop playing it. I'm just gonna like frame advance or something, because I can only play this so many times. So there is RNG manipulation here, because we're manipulating it so she goes the same way every time. And when we were making the trainer, I learned a lot about how Cruella's movement works. And it's not actually fully, like, it's not as random as we thought it was. It is random which way she moves. But there's actually some information that you can know about her direction before she even moves. Or before she, like, turns or anything. Because it's not like the game is randomly determining at all moments which way she's moving. After she shoots, the game uses the RNG to set a timer for her movement that counts down. I say it's a timer, it shouldn't be a timer, a counter that counts down. And so what value it has determines which direction she's going. It can be somewhere between like 0 and 500. If it's above 251, she's moving left. And if it's below 251, she's moving right. And because it can only count down, that means if she starts moving right, she can never turn and move left. And we never noticed that before. We just thought, well, she, turns around sometimes. No, she can only turn around if she's moving left. So if she's moving right, you can be pretty confident she's going to keep moving in that direction, which is great. We don't really use that in the TAS here. I mean, aside from the fact that we know that she's always going to move left in the TAS because it's manipulated that way. And then, because of this, the manipulation allows us to make sure that she's lined up to shoot both these watermelons. Oh, and the other really annoying thing. These watermelons, we discovered, if one of the watermelons finishes growing during this cutscene, this unskippable cutscene. So the reason that we switched to Oddball in the first place is Oddball's voice line in this unskippable cutscene is faster. So Oddball says it faster, so that's why we play as Oddball for, like, everything. Which is... It's funny that that's, like, what it comes down to. Although French Domino's faster, that's the only one. There's your trivia for that. If one of the melons finishes growing during this cutscene, then it immediately restarts growing, even though it already finished. So we actually were going too fast at first, and we had to slow it down, because we were so fast that this melon right here finished, and didn't have... It finished before the cutscene was over, and then went back to being a baby melon, and you can't hit it. So we had to slow down this fight, which is actually a theme in the Cruella fights. I didn't mention it. For Cruella 1, also, you have to go fast, but not too fast, because if you go too fast, then you get Cruella stuck in a glitch, and you can't continue. So for this one too, we want to go fast, but not too fast, because then you don't have a melon to hit. And that's what's going on here. And that's Cruella 2. Really good game, guys. No, it is. It's awesome. That's true. Everybody should give Dean $3,000 right now. I agree with that. Okay, now we're in countryside. Right after me. Do I have $3,000? I just paid for GDQ though, you know? You guys got this, right? Okay, so let's watch that again.
Can I have your copy of Streets of the Kingdom?
Yeah, it's in the bedroom. I think it's in the Switch. Okay, yes, so we get awesome boost here in countryside. This is done in RTA runs, but like not this good. We don't do this good. So what's happening here is it's kind of like the boost that you can get off the pyramid or something. When you slide down a slope, you can get massive amounts of speed. But this is just like so much more speed and so much better. And then something else that you can't even notice, but that Avouca found, is that depending on where you enter this loading zone, you actually get control of the puppy at different times afterwards. So, like, you want to... Look how long it takes to fade out. You want to get into the right spot here, basically so that you keep the speed from that boost as long as possible before it takes control of the puppy. So you want to get the puppy as close as possible to, like, the fade out point. But there's a few different places like that where the loading zones work. This TAS guy's pretty good. Thar, how's it going? I think when I timed this using RTA strat, or using RTA time points, it was a low 16, which is like almost 2 minutes faster than RTA record. Thar, thank you for the raid. What's up? We're watching the TAS. It's awesome. It's really cool. Actually, you know what? I'm just gonna let you guys see this. Welcome, Raiders. This is a great introduction to the TAS. This is 102 Dalmatians. This is the main game I speedrun at this point. And this is the TAS version, which is even crazier. This part isn't crazy. This part's kind of normal, but I promise this level gets crazy. This is another of my favorite levels. I think if I had to pick 3 favorite levels... Oh no, 3 is hard. Museum's really cool. This one's really cool. Toy Factory is really cool, but also Underground's really cool. I think I can't forget about Underground. There's actually another upwarp in this level, though. So not only did we get the first useful upwarp, but we got 2 of them in this one. This is where it gets crazy, though. Thara, this is for you. Okay, maybe not getting hit by the bulldozer, but this part. Exactly, Thar. Yeah, it was for you. Everything's fine. You're back. Look, we do it again. No, Thar, wait. If you've seen me do this level normally, I usually go in bounds for this. I mean, everybody does, but it turns out you don't have to. What I've been doing is, like, I play the level and then go back and we, like, watch it some more. And I explain everything, so. This is just for you guys to absorb. Wait, Sugar Frosted, I totally missed that comment. Oh no, Thar's gonna die again. Yeah, actually, the out of bounds color, you don't usually get to see it in RTA runs, but it's really cool. You can actually go beyond the sphere of the out of bounds. You can get like beyond the nice sunset color. And then it's just pink. I think. Yeah, I think it's just pink afterwards. All right, let's go back through that. So the beginning's kind of basic. You guys have seen me do this before. Um, we just get the water. There's not really a way to make that faster. The way that this level works, all the stuff in the main area is continuous, but then the inside of the barn and the inside of the silo are stored like off in the void. So clipping into the barn isn't useful because it's stored somewhere else and it would take longer to get to. So that's just kind of normal. Here, so like I said, this is where we got like the second useful upwarp ever. Because Porky actually like years ago got an upwarp here, and I'm sure other people have too, but like just didn't even notice it because this one's really, really small. I think this one goes to like 11,000 speed compared to, I don't even think I said the speed of the other one. The way that upwarps are working is, I didn't even explain this for the Royal Museum one. The way that upwarps work is you, for some reason, gain an insane amount of upward speed for just a single frame, or I think like 2, maybe. And then it goes back to normal. And so in that 2 frames, you go way up, and then you stay there if you land on something, and if you don't land on something, then you come back down, which is what happens a lot when people get accidental ones. And we still don't know why that happens. They happen a lot at edges of things. So like on ledges or between 2 panels in a floor and things like that. So it's probably something weird about the way that the void and edges and things are interacting. I don't know. One day we might understand it. For Royal Museum, the puppy is at 30,000 speed for 2 frames. Normal walking speed is about 1,300. And then for this one in Barnyard, did we write down a number? You go up to 11,000 speed for 2 frames. So that's what you'll see here. And this just gets you like up the step a little bit, which is really hard to see, which is why I'm going to point it out because it's really cool. Like that. You just go like that. And it doesn't even look like much, but that is an upwarp. And then you keep going. And then, oh right, I got distracted by chat. Yeah, I mean, we just got a bunch of speed values to compare them, so it's also useful to compare just things in general. Actually, you know what? I have more numbers than I've even shared, so maybe that would help things. So we've already said for the upwarp in Museum, you go to like 30,000 speed for 2 frames. For the cliff in Underground, you have sustained 24,000 speed. And then for this one, this little upwarp, you get like 11,000 speed. Normal walking speed is about 1,300. Normal rolling speed is about 2,000 something. Let me find it. It's about 2,700. And walking speeds, or jumping speed's about 2,000. So jumping is faster than walking. If you just jump, it's still faster than walking. But slope boosts, which you see us do a lot, those ones get speeds like 3,000 to 5,000. Really big ones, like down the pyramid, you can get speeds like 10,000. The boost in the pyramid room, I think, like the levitation boost off Fluffy, I think that was like a 20,000 speed one. And same with like the types of boosts that you can get from like touching moving objects and stuff. So that's just a general idea. We still don't know how fast you go during the Piccadilly upwarp. That's the biggest upwarp that we've ever seen somebody do. And it's happened a bunch of times, so it's not just one person. In Piccadilly, when you jump over that fence, you can get like moved like really high. Like it's really obvious you're flying through the air, but we've never gotten it to work on PlayStation, so we don't have a record of how fast it is. So yeah, that's kind of like where the different types of things get you. Basically what I'm saying is some of the stuff you're gonna see here goes really, really fast. And so then you slide down, and that's a slope boost. That's what I was talking about. That, you know, gets you speeds probably like 5,000, which is like 3 or 4 times normal. And then this is where it gets crazy. Okay, this is where everybody started to ask questions. So normally here you start setting up for a damage warp or for a death warp, because we death warp after getting all the chickens in. That part's normal. But we take 2 damage, and then we take the 3rd one while using this bulldozer to clip into the side of the barn. Well, like I said earlier, the barn inside is stored somewhere else. So clipping into the barn just puts us on top of the barn, because that's the, like, that's the valid Y value for this location. And the barn doesn't have full collision, so then we can walk off and go through it and roll in here. And what's going to be really hard to see in this one, but you can see kind of better in some of the other times that we do it, is we hit a slope and get a really big slope boost. That's why the puppy goes so fast here. So we go through the barn and hit a slope that you can kind of see. It's this slope right here on that roof. And then use that speed to go over here and say hi to our friend the rooster. So if you've played this game or watched me or somebody else play this game, this rooster crows every time you get a hen into the hen house. And there's 3 hens, so that's 3 unskippable cutscenes normally. But it turns out that the developers made the rooster with the properties of a toy. And so you can just yeet him off the side by rolling into him, and he dies. You can hear the dying toy sound, actually. I don't know if I have the volume up loud enough for you to hear it very well. And that is my favorite part of the TAS, I think, is just, he's dead. He's just dead. We don't need the rooster anymore. And the crazy thing, so they made him with the properties of a toy, because they didn't expect anybody to get up there. At least that's what I'm guessing, unless there was, like, supposed to be a quest where you kill the rooster, but that seems wrong. I don't think that they ever intended that. So they made him with the toy properties, but they tied the cutscenes to his physical existence. So once he's dead, the cutscenes no longer happen. So if you just murder the rooster, it's faster. And I love this. This is my favorite thing. He's just gone. Bye. See ya. He dies for as long as you're in this level. If you reloaded the level, he'd be back. So, then the next thing is these hens are usually a very annoying part of runs, because sometimes it just, like, you try your best, but, like, you don't get the right pattern. Avouca figured out a way to do it with only 2 barks, which is kind of insane. So in this one, I'm not sure if you even have to worry about soft locking this one, because like I said before, it's possible to soft lock this one if you get 2 hens in, the last 2 hens in, like, too close to each other, but there's no rooster to cause cutscenes, so it might not even matter. Either way, just 2 barks, they all go in at once, and then death warp. And this doesn't even skip a cutscene anymore to death warp right here, because there isn't a cutscene because the rooster's dead. Yeah, he's not real, he's just one of Cruella's toys. Honestly, this is some great lore, right? The rooster's just there to slow us down. And then we do it again. And this time you might be able to see the slope better. Yeah, here we go. This time you can see the slope better here. This is the slope boost. And so now we're doing the silo task. So again, the silo is stored somewhere else out of bounds. And to get there, we can go through the void and then not ever have to even go inside the silo. So that's what's happening here. It is a bit of void floating. We've got this nice pink. But right here, you can hit these triggers for the faucets from the other side. Oh yeah, Silo Dog. We won't be rescuing Silo Dog. We don't even go inside the silo to rescue Silo Dog, so sorry about that, guys. Avouca's done an all puppies task, and the next plan is to improve it, so maybe someday in the not so distant future, we'll do an all puppies watch party, and we will save Silo Dog. Silo Dog will be saved. So anyways, you can hit all of these, and then that whole disorienting thing, what's happening is, when you hit the last one, from the outside, this cutscene happens. I think that's the last one, but it might not be. Okay, it is. When this cutscene happens, if you don't press anything, the puppy will start falling. And so basically, like, during this cutscene loading period, the puppy is falling. Okay, there is one more. During the cutscene loading period, the puppy is falling until it gets low enough that it hits the bottom of the void and spawns back at the beginning. Except it's just super disorienting with the camera because the camera was trying to load the cutscene and then couldn't, and then now you're in the void, and then now you're back here, and the camera's trying to catch up with that. So you get to see all these different things, and there's the puppy, I guess. And then you're back here. Oh, wow, look at that. So you're actually seeing this, you're seeing the puppy through the out of bounds area. Like, this is the backside of Priscilla's, like, Priscilla should be in this area right here. And then the camera rotates. Like, this is all camera rotation. It's not the camera teleporting or anything. It's just the camera rotating to the spot. Which is kind of wild, because it, like, goes all the way through all of Barnyard to get here. All the way from the out of bounds void. This is where the camera last was. And then it has to make its way all the way over here and rotate, because now you've just rotated the camera by rolling. So anyways, that's why that looks confusing. And now the last one. We gotta get the key first. And there's another heli clip. Astro, this one's for you. So there's another heli clip. This again gets us inside the area where the barn would be. We get another slope boost. I should probably go slower there. So this is just the same as the other ones we did, where we go inside the area where the barn would be. And then hit that slope boost. And instead of going out of bounds, this one, we go in a direction back in bounds. So there's the slope boost. Now we're really going fast. And so normally where we've gone is like over here, because this is the hen house. Going through here, you get to the silo. Instead, we're heading this way to get to the tractor, and it's just like a smooth transition right onto the tractor. And then there's another death warp. So actually, the death warp thing was all perfectly timed because we took damage in other places, just very conveniently. Like, there was one on the tractor, or on the bulldozer earlier, there was another damage on the helicopter, and then we took the last two there. And we don't get Priscilla her present because this is fast. And this is Ice Festival. This is another huge achievement that doesn't really look like much, but I promise it is. So instead of doing the normal penguin clip like you've probably seen me do, we do it on the side here. And it's over. But what's happening? So, like I said, instead of doing it on the front, we do it on the side. And that is important because it makes the penguin hit the wall, and that gets the penguin to run into the puppy faster, which is very important. But what's so significant about this is that this is the first time that we've purposely recreated a damageless penguin clip. And it's not quite the fastest version of damageless penguin, because I've spent way too long looking at clips of damageless penguin, guys. We've got like 6 or 8 clips of it, I think. 6. Yeah, we've got 6 clips of this one, because I compiled them. And they're all on PC actually. So we didn't even know if it was possible to do it on PlayStation, even though it should be. We didn't quite know because you never know with these things. This game's weird. They were also all from the front because that's where people normally do it. But basically, what you're supposed to do penguin clip is you get the penguin to pin the puppy against the wall, and then you have to jump at just the right moment so that you are damage boosted through the wall. And this is a really small window. It's like only a few frames. With a damageless clip, the puppy gets through the wall without taking damage, so it's not a damage boost. It's something else, like a normal type of clip that you would do. There's one version of it where you jump, you don't take damage, and you just jump out of bounds. There's another version where the penguin actually pushes the puppy through the wall, and that's the fastest one. That's the one that we couldn't get here. But after much pain and effort, we were able to get this one to work from the side. And so the penguin pushes the puppy into the wall, then we turn, and then instead of having to wait for damage to be taken, we can just jump through the wall without any damage happening. And it's really fast, but it's actually really monumental that we were able to recreate it at all, because we've never gotten to that to work on purpose. Maine, how's it going? Here we go. Yeah, it's literally the only time I've ever smiled, is when I see this TAS level. You don't remember the later levels? Well, good news is that we're gonna see all of them. So actually, you're starting right at the later levels. Okay, so let's talk about what happened here. I think this is another one where we have a map if you want to go and look at the TAS site. It's been a while since we've done that command, so let's do it again. If you go look at the TAS site, it does have a map for this one. So you can see like what's happening. I hope I'm not lying to you. Yeah, there we go. There's a map. Go take a look at it. So this one was actually, let me go back to the beginning again. This one was hard to get to work and actually be faster than the old TAS, but we did it and now it's awesome. So the first thing that happens here is a crocodile clip. This is another one that's really hard. You can do this one RTA. People have in the past, but I think most people agree that it's not worth it. You can use this crocodile to get out of bounds and hit the loading zone. So normally you're supposed to hit this switch right here and open the drawbridge, and then you hit the same loading zone, but we skip that. We just go around it. Then what you're supposed to do is jump into this fountain, like inside the fountain, not into the edge and clip into it. You're supposed to jump inside the fountain, and then it takes you to another part of the level. Instead, Avouca figured out a way to clip through this ledge. This is another ledge clip like I was talking about at the beginning. Clip through this ledge, and because there's just void behind this area, you can just keep going instead of like, you know, ending up back in bounds or something. This is a ledge clip that actually gets you into the void. So that's what's happening here, if you can see. And that's, you can see like the edge of the loading zone you're supposed to hit to go down. And like a lot of levels, this one doesn't actually make geographic sense. It's not possible for things to be organized in the way that they are in this level, because that loading zone takes you like across. And so what we used to do was use that loading zone, you go across the map, and then get out of bounds over there, using a clip through the wall that's just specific to the console version. Oh, the other thing that you can find on the TAS site is a link to a comparison video I made. I aligned up all of the TASs that have been made so far, so you can actually see like level by level how much faster this one is, or you know, how it's changed over time throughout the different versions that have been made. So that's really cool. Okay, so the reason that at first we couldn't get this one to be faster is because, as you see, there's a level in front of us. And when you go underneath the level, you get back in bounds. The problem is that the rest of the level is on the other side of that. So we have to get back in bounds. There's no like other choice here if we want to go to the end fast, because the other option would be like going back and around, but that's not fast. we have to go through the level. That means we have to get back out of bounds to get past it. And that's where this was a real challenge, because getting this knight, there's a few different things you can do. You can clip with this toy bear. That one is less useful. I think that one clips you up on top of things in the wrong place, because there is like a level above. If you look at the map, there's like the upper part of the level in this area. So that one's not faster. And then there's this knight. And the first version that we had used the knight while it was still alive. So like lure the toy knight to the wall and then clip out of bounds with that. But that's not fast because it takes a long time for the knight to get to the wall. So then Avouca found a way to get the knight to die in just the right place so that you can get out of bounds with that. So you can see when the puppy hits the knight, it hits the wall and bounces back so fast that it's just here almost instantly, which is really cool. And then you get out of bounds, and then the end is like right in this area over to the side. Yeah, I love this one because I love the jump into the fountain. It's so good. Like, you just like jump right through it. It's amazing. It's amazing that it works. And so this is Cruella III. This is another one where you have to be fast, but not too fast, because you still have to wait for things to happen here. This is the same manipulation that we use in RTA runs, but like a little bit refined. And I can talk more about, you know, the huge amount that I know about Cruella fights, unfortunately. But I'll let this finish. And then we'll go back and look at it again. And that's it. We've defeated Cruella again. But what's happening here is, so you have to knock out the 3 bottom blocks, and then the 3 top blocks, and then you can hit Cruella. For years, we've had a manipulation without fully understanding how it works. And we still don't fully understand how it works, but I have been able to, like, find ways to, I guess, kind of recreate what's happening with the manipulation. But what's so important about the manipulation, usually when Cruella sees you and she's in targeting mode, she will throw a balloon at you. For some reason, I found that when Cruella is about 2 blocks behind the puppy, she doesn't see you. And so actually, like, I have a video of me just, like, running back and forth forever, just, like, 2 blocks ahead of Cruella, and she just never sees you and never throws the balloon, which is kind of amazing. But, so that must be what's working here. Like, there's some kind of blind spot that Cruella has, and we're hitting it just right with this manipulation that she doesn't see us, doesn't target us. And why that's so significant here is because normally she would see the puppy here, throw a balloon at the puppy, and then move back to the right where she's standing right now. But instead of seeing the puppy, she just keeps walking left. She's going to start moving and keep going left instead of hitting the puppy. And that's important because she's going to do an attack where she walks to the middle, to that lever right there. She's going to walk to the middle, and then after she's done with that attack, she goes back to whatever direction she just was from. So if she's on the right, she'll head back to the right. But that's really bad for us because we want her to be where our catapult is, and our catapult is about to be on the left. So the whole thing that makes this manipulation work is the fact that she walks past the puppy all the way to the other side, and then after this, she's going to walk left. And then a cool thing that this TAS has is, like, hitting her while she's moving. Usually we just wait for her to get all the way left and then hit her through the block, which you're not supposed to be able to do, but we also hit her here. And then you're not supposed to be able to hit her through the wall here, but we do because her hitbox sticks through. This is just like the RTA strat. You can just hit her through the wall. The other thing with this level that doesn't actually come into play, there is actually RNG in the level, which I discovered when we were making the trainer. When she does that lever attack, that is on a random timer, but you never see it in this... Oh wait, one more thing. There's analog here because, you know, gotta use the analog. And it's really funny watching the puppy push the catapult with analog because the catapult, like, stutters. The game didn't even expect you to use analog here. Anyways, there's some randomness to the lever attack because there's a counter that starts at a random... It has a random length before she does the lever attack. But if you do it using any of the strats that we use in RTA or in the TAS, you never see the second lever attack, so it's never a problem because the first lever attack has a set length. It's always, I think, like 549 frames or something before the next one, whereas the other ones are random. So there's RNG, but you never see it, which means that I know this information and it's not even useful to anybody. Thar, I'm so glad you like puppies. I like puppies too. Alright, now we're in Spooky Forest. There's actually, I think, only 3 levels besides the Cruella ones that don't have out of bounds, and so Countryside is one of them, Carnival is one of them, and then this is the last one. But that doesn't mean it doesn't have cool stuff. So that right... Well, no. Wait, I'm supposed to play it first. You guys get to watch it first, then I explain it. I forgot how cool that is. So now we're in Spooky Forest. We are going to... This is part's just normal. But then, one of the first things that happens that's different is you can actually get a slow boost off of this tree right here. And so that's why the puppy jumps this way instead. So you get a slow boost here. And then you head over to this soldier. This is a levitation boost. I think first done by custom, and I think the comment at the time was like, this is too inconsistent for RTA runs, and now we do them in RTA runs, because of course we do. But the cool thing about the TAS is that it gets a way bigger boost than anything that we usually get in RTA. So again, this is a levitation boost. This works the same as that really crazy boost you saw in Museum. Where if you get the puppy trapped between a slope and something else, you get lots and lots of speed. So you kill the toy soldier, jump here, and get stuck sliding down. And then this is another one of the ones that uses something that's dying. So you have a time limit for this, and this is why it's so inconsistent in general, and also really hard to do. Yeah, inconsistent until it's consistent, and then, you know, we're sad because it's a really hard trick, actually. So you get this boost here by jumping away from the wall after you've been sliding down for as much time as possible. And so the cool thing about the TAS is that the TAS can jump at the last moment, like on the last frame possible, and get the most speed. So the TAS just slingshots to the end. Normally, most people don't get boosts that go very far past the, like, mushroom pads right here. If you're really good, you can get it, like, into here, but it's not anywhere near as fast as this. Like, the camera cannot keep up with the puppy. I don't know if we have a speed value for this one. Fast. The speed is very fast. $20,000 compared to the 1,300 walking speed. It's so satisfying. I love it. Alright, this one's another one. We get Orange Void for a very long time. I have to say, if I'm gonna call a level in this boring, it's this one. Because... yeah. It's Orange Void. If you go to the TAS description, you can see a map of exactly where we're going here. This one is used in RTA runs, but only in any percent. Avouca has some any percent runs that use it, because any percent, the first level that you do is Hedge Maze. And so this really inconsistent clip that you do with the toy monkey is much more worth it in any percent, instead of like killing your all levels run right at the end here. So this one you can do it. It's just annoying. So what you do is you clip there and you just roll to the void. It's just really long. And, like, we tried to make an inbounds route, and it's just not faster. Because you can't navigate the inbounds maze area as fast as this. Even though this is, like, so much rolling through the void, it's still faster than doing it inbounds. And so, in the task description, we actually, yeah, the blimps are just, yeah. In the task description, instead of like talking about what's actually happening here, we talked about some other things in the level that aren't even relevant for the task, but apparently they didn't have a problem with that because they still liked the task. When we were making the trainer, we discovered some more about the Hedge Maze puzzle RNG, because the Hedge Maze puzzle, which you don't see in the task at all, I really wanted to use our knowledge about the Hedge Maze puzzle in the task, but it's just slower, and that makes me sad. The Hedge Maze puzzle is one of the few instances of RNG in the run where like it really matters. There's 9 pieces that you have to turn 1 to 3 times to make the puzzle. So when we were doing the trainer, we did find out you can get a 9-turn puzzle, and you also can get a 27-turn puzzle. And the chances of that happening are really, really low. Let me find where that even is. You have like a 0.01 chance, 0.01% chance of getting 9 turns or 27 turns. So if you got 9 turns, it would be, you know, a really great advantage. I think it would save like, I think we wrote this down. You could save up to 14 seconds if you get the perfect puzzle RNG. And in a task, we'd be able to do that. In an RTA run, it's just not ever going to be possible, because the other thing about Hedge Maze is that the RNG changes every other frame because of the sound effect. So most levels, the RNG changes when you bark, when you roll, when you get near toys that use RNG, when you load a level, when you exit a level, different things like that. But in Piccadilly and Hedge Maze, it changes every other frame because there's sound effects that happen randomly in the background. So there's like birds and crickets and stuff like that. So if you wanted to manipulate this, you'd have to get like frame perfect movement every time. That's never going to happen in RTA. It's just not. But a task could do it. So maybe I'll just task Hedge Maze one day so that I can get perfect puzzle RNG and feel good about myself. But I'd also have to like sort through all of the RNG values and find one of those 0.01% ones. And, you know, there's that too. That's kind of annoying. So maybe it won't happen. What we found, we gathered a bunch of RNG values and then we fed it back into a script that used it to figure out how many turns the puzzle would be. So like we have all this data for it that you can see on the task description, but like the most common one, as you'd expect, is 18, which is, you know, perfectly in the middle. So it does follow kind of like what you'd expect, where there's a hump in the middle, and it's very rare to get the ones on either extreme. And what we did when we did the test, the numbers we got from the test are also very similar to what you'd expect if there's just an equal 1/3 chance of each one happening. So I did way too much math on that. Go look at it if you want to, but that was painful for me. And we just skip it all in the task. What is math? That's a philosophical question right there. And then that's it. We're at the end. This is very similar to what you see in RTA runs of this one, but there's some things that make it faster. This is actually, so I didn't talk about this earlier, but Seth Jewell was like the person who found all the basic type of clip that we use everywhere now, where the puppy gets trapped between something and a wall and then gets out of bounds. And they've never even run the game, but they found all these awesome tricks for us. And then from there, like, we've expanded on them, and people have used it in all sorts of different ways that you see in the task, that you see in RTA runs. But for some reason, this is like one of the most annoying and definitely one of the harder clips that you can learn with this. This is one of the first ones that people started using, and that Seth Jewell even designed. And then Custom actually like upgraded it to be even harder, because that's what Custom does. What you have to do for this one is you have to stand in the right spot to get hit by the toast and get knocked back, and then you have to take the right path to the wall so that you are at the right spot at the right time and the toast hits you. And it's very important to follow this exact movement, because if you don't, the toast bot will be in the wrong spot and the toast won't actually hit you. And if you're on Dreamcast, this one has like a 25% chance of killing you and then your run is dead, so that's cool. But we're not on Dreamcast. So one of the cool things that this TAS has is Avouca figured out a way to do a cancel for the damage animation. Actually, that's something I didn't talk about in Barnyard. It's there too. If you bark at the same time that you take damage, you can actually cancel the animation. Not the damage, but you can cancel the like flip that the puppy does or whatever. So you just kind of sink into the floor here and then go through it and then roll to the end. Nastani, I'm really trying hard to figure out a way to make it so people on Dreamcast don't die. I probably should have mentioned that to people who wanted to run it on Dreamcast. I forgot. You can help. You want to work on a setup? Custom, you want to work on a setup? Okay, this one's really cool. You're willing to die for pretty graphics and lower lag, better load times? Alright, that's it. That's Toy Factory. Moving on. Let's watch that again. This one you just have to experience a few times. Questions? Okay, so the first thing that's happening here is this punching bag. You have to... How? Good question. This punching bag, you can get to this upper level with the punching bag. We don't usually do it in RTA runs because you can do it, but it's definitely different from the other ones we do because you saw like the puppy rolls into the punching bag to get it to move that far. So it's a little bit different from the ones where you bark at it because you have to roll into it to get it to move all the way to the wall. Then you can get up here. And this next part is crazy. Custom was the one who first proved that it was possible. But what's happening with the boxes in the next room is they actually... This is hard to see actually without... Let me find... I might actually put a GIF on screen for this one. I haven't done it for the other things, but this might actually help a lot. Let me see if I can... Can I just drag it over? Maybe. Let's find out. Because you're not ever going to be able to see what I'm trying to talk about. Okay, well, you can see that for a second. You can see this box. And the puppy isn't ever supposed to get on top of this box. There's other boxes you're supposed to get on. This box is not one of them. What it does is it teleports back and forth. Like it comes down, moves across, goes back up, and then teleports back to the starting point. And so if you are near the box when it teleports, you can get a ton of speed. The problem is, like I said, you're not ever supposed to be able to get on top of it. Now I have to find where that is and delete it. Alright, now we're back. You're not ever supposed to be able to get on top of it. But Custom was able to prove that it's possible. The only problem then is getting it to work in the TAS. And so this was in the last TAS. But we couldn't get it to work here. And we didn't know why. So you can see here, the puppy does get on top of this box. And then is right here when the teleport happens and gets an insane amount of speed. So we've been talking about speed this whole time. You might have been tuning it out because it's a bunch of numbers. Let me just tell you this. Normal walking speed is 1,300. The puppy gets 235,000 speed here. We go from 1,300 to 235,000. So this is way more speed than anything else that we ever get in the game. And the reason that we couldn't get it to work, it turns out this first room is really important. You cannot enter, or you can't exit it too early and you can't exit it too late. So we were actually going too fast at first. And then Avouca finally figured out we had to go slower for this to work. Because if you go too fast, the whole cycle in the next room's off. If you go too slow, even by a frame, the whole cycle in the next room is off. So, the way that this works, you have to get a speed boost off of these crushers, which is something that we normally do in the run. We just don't normally use it to, you know, do insane tricks off this box. So you get a speed boost here. Using that, you go over here, and there's this part that's moving up right here. You can't see it, but there it is. The puppy just barely hits the edge of it as it's moving upwards, and that flings the puppy up with enough speed to reach the box. So now you're on top of the box. Now what? Well, like I said, the box is going to teleport, and we have to be in the right spot to get all that speed off of it when it does. So now we're in front of the box. And now we're flung from it. So you see the box reappeared over there. So we're flung from the box, and all of this happens in just a few frames. You'll see like the rest of the level fly past. And it's so fast you can't even process it. These are all the other things that you would see. You can actually go through walls at this speed. Like, you're going so fast that the game can't process collision properly, because this is a wall that you should hit. Like this wall that you pass through here. This one we don't pass through. This one we actually hit. But this first wall, we do pass through it. I don't know if we have a map of this one. Oh, we do. So you can go and see a map. But basically, what we're doing is we're passing through... Normally we do use out of bounds in this level, but they do not take you this far. And so the last TAS used a puppy switch here. So the puppy switch slows the puppy down a little bit. The problem with moving at this much speed is that any small correction in your angle can mean a huge change in where you actually end up. So getting the puppy into this room is very difficult. But here we are. We reached the end room. And now there's just one more level. We're at the final Cruella fight. And so this is another one that has a lot of RNG manipulation. This is another one that uses analogs so that we can say we did. I mean, it definitely added something to it. I keep saying it sarcastically, or, you know, teasingly, but it really did add some stuff to the run. It's got some cool things in it because of analog. And, you might notice we're not using one of the cannons there. I can talk about that. And that's it. It's done. And now let me explain how we finished it. So 1,300, 235,000 clap. Though 235,000 speed clap, that would be something. So like I said, there's RNG here. This first part, there isn't RNG. This is kind of what you normally see in runs, except even more precise. So normally in a run, we aim to the left. We aim to the left and just hit all the boxes here, and we just keep shooting here until they all come around again and all get destroyed. But because this is TAS, we can do that faster. And you can zip over to this side and then hit those last two that wouldn't be hit to the left. And actually, or sorry, just one. The other TAS had two, but this one actually only has one left. You can see, like, the shot is fired before it even reaches there. That is the shot that will destroy that box, which is super cool. And then just, you know, because we can shoot at Cruella. It does nothing. Something that analog actually does add to this is analog moves faster than using the D-pad. And so a lot of runners just use the D-pad, and that's actually slower. But also, it might actually be better to use the D-pad if you're doing this as a runner, because the stick moves it so fast that it's, like, really hard to aim for things. So what I'm saying is, if you've been using the stick for these fights, you've been making it harder on yourself, potentially. But because the stick lets us move faster here, we can, you know, use it to kind of mess around a bit, including things like shooting Cruella and whatnot. So that's what's happening here. The next one is where it gets weird. So, this is another thing that Custom found, I think. You can actually bark at these robots. See? You just bark. Oh, and another big thing that's also relevant here. You're gonna see, we can bark at the robots, but not right away. So we're gonna sit there for a sec before barking at them. And the reason for that is, it's kind of crazy. We didn't know this until this year. Chori found out that it's possible to kill the robot heads with a single shot. And the reason is that they're invincible for about 1.5 seconds. So if you wait that 1.5 seconds, you can just shoot once and kill them. And so, like, every single other run before this, and the TASs before this, just, like, spam shot at the robots, and you don't even have to do that. You just need to time the shot right. And it took us this long to find that out. But, for this one, we don't even shoot at the robots. I actually had, like, it fully tasked out to the point where we had, like, an RNG manip so that they all were in front, and, you know, we shot them all in front, and then Avouca was like, what if we barked at them all in front? So then we had to, or I should say Avouca had to redo the RNG manipulation to get them all in front, barking. Because what we found is that in other levels it doesn't usually matter when you move the camera around. It doesn't affect the RNG. But for some reason in this level it does. When you move the camera or move the dog so that the camera moves, it affects it. It might be like because of what you're seeing or something. I don't know. We don't fully know yet. And then some of the other things that I mentioned that affect the RNG are things like rolling, barking. Each of those affects it like once when the sound starts. So the way that I had done it before when we were using the cannon was we like moved the cannon around in ways that got the RNG to the right spot. But now we had kind of less tools to do that with because of the limitations of having to be in front of this robot here. And the last task did bark at the robots, but only for the last one. It did it with normal cannon movement for the other ones, and then bark at the last one. But this one barks at all of them, and it's amazing. And so you can see that's why there's like some of this weird movement here. That's why the puppy runs away and stuff like that. Just so that it has the right RNG for all of them to appear in front. So, this is very much not intended. It's interesting that they were vulnerable to the bark, because like Cruella isn't generally vulnerable to barking at her in the other levels, but these robots are, I guess because they're toys. They're probably toys. And then this is the last part. And this is where you can really see how fast the cannon is moving. And so, this is one where it's very, very carefully timed so that the last bit of energy is used on that last orb, which is really cool to see. And that's also why there's all the random shooting, because again, hitting Cruella doesn't matter, but it's just fun. And so you hit Cruella, hit that orb. I mean, if we go slow, like the shot will be before the orb even appears. Like, the orb is not in that spot, and then it is. And then it dies. And then again, we've got the slow analog movement down to the last orb, and it's just amazing. And so this does save time. Losing the cannon at the same time that the last orb is hit does actually save time over doing it other ways. Waiting for, like, the cutscene to start when you're in the cannon. So that's it. And then because of task timing, it's not until this last input, so I think it's like right here. Ish. And that's it. And now we did it again. Thank you guys for the claps. I know the claps happened a few minutes ago, and then I went through and explained this level for like 5 minutes straight. But that's it. Now we get to watch the credits and enjoy. Dean, Leonardo, Nastani, Stokely, Maine, Haji. Thank you guys for the claps. I hope you guys enjoyed the TAS. I really enjoy the TAS, so I wanted to share it with other people. You know, you're playing with kittens.
Yeah.
Are they being good and actually playing?
Jolines.
Jolina's.
That was interrupt.
But thank you guys for watching the TAS with me. It was a lot of fun. And there will be an all pup. I really hope there's an all puppies TAS soon. Another one, an updated one. Somebody on TAS videos was like, I really hope there's an all puppies one soon. So I feel like it's got to be for the fans, right? Spyro, how's it going? But any questions? Dean, do you have any questions? None? So again, you can watch the TAS on TAS videos. The way that TAS videos works is like it gets uploaded and then people are allowed to vote on it and comment on it and ask questions, and then it gets judged, and the judge decides like if it gets published or where it goes. So it just finished the judging process today. And it's going to be published to the stars category, which is like for the most entertaining ones. So I'm just happy that people enjoy this game, because I enjoy this game. Oh, Custom, I think I missed your message. Thank you. And yeah, that's what I got here. I think I'm not going to do runs, because I think I've been talking for too long and my voice is going to be gone shortly. How much time do we have left on the credits? You guys want to see Jolene? Jolene? I should switch it so we can see. It's a Jolene! She's being good. Totally, all the time. Oh, look at those recommendations. Which one you want to watch, guys?
The Cage GDQ run.
Oh yeah, the Cage GDQ run. You should have a watch party for that. No?
Sounds awful.
Thank you guys all for watching this. Also, thank you to everybody in the community who contributed to all these tricks. I mentioned some of the people throughout it. If you want to... I mentioned Custom a lot. Thank you, Custom. If you want to see more information about like who found all these things and stuff, that's also in the task description. We tried to really like include everybody who worked on these tricks, which is why I love the description, probably as much as the task. I kind of just talked through the description, but you guys didn't get like the pictures and, you know, all the details. So if you want to learn more, you can check that out. If you forgot anything that I said and want to look back at it, that's also in the description. I love the description. Go check it out. But thank you all for watching, and I'm gonna find us somebody to raid.